Ask an Expert webinar, and we're going to talk about Microsoft Teams and making that your one place to work today. Before we start, just want to do some housekeeping. Brian, can please go to the next slide? Yes, thank you. So when you're not talking and during Ryan's demo, please make sure you're on mute. This is an engaging session, so we do encourage questions to come through. You have two different tools that you can use. So either use the raise your hand feature if you'd like to ask a question, or if you'd like to write down a question for us to read out, you can use the chat function on the side, and we'll call that out for you. And then I think we're pretty much ready to go, Ryan.
Cool, thank you. So welcome everyone, happy Friday. My name is Ryan Darby. I am one of the success leads at Sensei. What I'm going to do is talk you through Teams and Project. See it as a continuation for those of you who attended my session on Teams or what was new in Teams, probably a few months ago now. It feels like a long time with everyone being stuck at home. During that session, we showed what you could do with Teams to really bring it alive. There was a lot of interest though in how to get Project Online running inside Teams. And we showed it actually, and we described it, but we didn't show you physically how you can actually do it. So we got a lot of questions during the session and afterwards saying, hey, we want to see how you actually do this. What we're going to do today is show you that. So we're going to start off fairly high level, and then we're going to get deeper and deeper into the detail. So we'll start off by showing you why you would want to do this and how it actually looks like and how to sort of change your experience. And then we're going to give you something. So this is a happy Friday for you. Actually going to give you this functionality. Some of you have it already, but probably don't know it. And for those of you who are not currently in Pwa PPM users, we're going to give this away to you. Okay, so now why would we do any of this? Well, think of it from the point of view as what's Teams all about? Teams is that one place you should go to focus all your work. Right now we're using it as a meeting option, but it's so much more than that. It really is this one tool that allows you to bring everything together and means you don't have to keep switching context to go from, into my email system, then into my meeting system, then into my project system, then into my report system, then come all the way back again. So what we want to do is use Teams as that single entry point to all your work, and we want to keep you in Teams so you save time, you become more efficient by doing that. And what we're going to show today is using Teams as the center, and we're going to look at putting Project Online and Project for the Web in there, and also at bringing Power BI in. The most interesting piece of this is the Project Online piece, because this is a Sensei specific thing that we've built, and as I said, we're going to give this to you. So the whole point is, this is a screenshot, trust me, there are no more slides. We're going to go into the demo within seconds, so don't fall asleep. But this is what it's going to look like. The whole idea is to stay in Teams. You can see here, we're in Teams, but on the right, you've actually got your project sitting in there as an app. And if you are using a Pwa PPM, it'll look something like that. So look, there, I've got a schedule sitting running inside Teams. So why go off to another system? Now, how does this happen? Okay, a little bit of the technology. The magic as such is not so much magic, although our product team does do a lot of magic. But what we're using in this case is groups. The group becomes the center of everything. By us creating a group, we are able to have the resources associated with that. So suddenly the group now has a team, it has SharePoint, it can have Planner, it can have all these things, and we associate that with the project. So now, by going from the project to the group, I can get to Teams, and using the Sensei magic, I'm able to then surface all of this inside the team. So as I've said, you do this because it's so much easier. Why wouldn't you want to work in one place? It gives you a much better experience. It means that you can also be in the one tool that you can share externally. So remember within Teams, if you remember from the last session, we looked at how you can expose some of this to external users. There is another reason for this, though. It's a technical sort of deep backend reason, in that you do have a limit. Some of you will get to this limit, but most won't. You can only have 2,000 SharePoint project sites, which may mean only 2,000 projects within Project Online. Well, we now have a way around that. Okay, so this is one of these things that gives us a way around that. So let's actually look at what this is, and then we're going to come back and we'll show you where you can actually get it, and I'm going to then show you how you can actually install all the stuff yourself. And you can actually do this yourself, because I was able to do it myself, and my technical ability varies on the day, and I managed to get through this with only a little bit of assistance. So this is what you want. So what you're looking at right now is Teams. I'm looking at it on through the web browser. And the reason for that is because I've got our session right now running through my Teams app. But what am I looking at here? It looks like Teams, it's Microsoft Teams. On the left, we've got our typical menus. But here we've got a Sensei IQ app. So IQ is the next generation of project, program, and portfolio tools and strategy tools from Sensei. So I'm going to use that as a bit of an example. What I'm showing you is I'm coming in, I'm running this app within Teams itself. So I don't have to go somewhere else. First of all, I can see all of the projects. So it's like a project center type view. Here I can go and group, and I can say, well, show me them by KPI. And I want to see those that are on watch. Or I could do a search. Now, the nice thing with this is it's actually sticky. It persists. So if I go out and I come back in again, it will keep it the way I personally wanted it. So it sticks it for me, okay, which is quite nice. I can also go and look at any programs or any portfolios that I've got in over here. So we had a rehearsal session 30 minutes ago to make sure everything works, and yep, okay, there it is. I blame the NBN. So anyway, here I can look at my programs, I could look at my portfolios, I could look at my proposals as well, all within Teams. Now if I go back to, remember, that's sticky, it stayed like that. Now this is where it gets really interesting. This becomes my Launchpad. So I'm in Teams, and I could open up the project in Project for the Web, so I can get to the schedule. I could open up Sensei's IQ, which we can look at briefly. I can go to the team itself associated with that project, or I could actually go to SharePoint. So if I go to the team, what will load up here is the team that is now associated with that individual project. So the people on this project have one place they can go and collaborate. So we can come in here and we've got all of the details. We can see Kenneth and Albert, I'm logged on as Albert, have been exchanging information, so spending less time inside their email. They can come in and they can start swapping files around over here. So I start putting my files in one place, and it's really files in one place sounds like a simple thing, but it's actually quite important. Because remember, you've got a group, the group has a team, it has SharePoint, and what we've done is integrated all this together. So if I go to my project system, so I go to IQ, within here, I can now manage my project. So I can see the high level, see where I am in the workflow. I could go into my tasks in over there, and I've also got the documents in over here. So these documents are the exact same documents in SharePoint that is associated with the team. So as a user or project manager, I don't need to go from one place to another. I can see they're all my documents. I could have looked at them within the team. I could go directly into SharePoint and see them. It's about not switching context all the time. So that gives you a bit of an overview of why you would do this and how it would look from a project for the web perspective. We're now going to change gears slightly, and we are going to look at it from an Empower PPM perspective. So quite a few of you on the call, glad to see, have got Empower PPM already, and this is what it would look like there. So now we're in Teams again. I'm just in a different environment. There is my Teams app. I can get to that. And what I've done over here is I'm in the automated sensor system project. This is all my internal, this is my live Sensei system. And here we can see the the specific project. So we're able to not go outside teams, but actually have this surfaced within the team, so I can actually manage my projects from within here. So we're going to look at how we set that up today. Okay, it's quite a simple process actually. While that is thinking to itself, I'm going to change over and we're going to look at a much simpler little example now, because we're going to build one up together. What we're looking at here is Teams again, but I'm just in another environment. It's a demo environment. It's a nice clean environment. Doesn't look as pretty, but it's a good way to show things to you. And what you are seeing here is a very simple out-of-the-box project detail page. So very plain, but nice to show you. We can see we've loaded this page in here. So in Teams, I've got the usual posts, the files, the wiki that you get out of the box. And there's my project details tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how that tab came about there, and we're going to add in another one. So we're going to add in the schedule tab, so which puts in the schedule project detail page. So to do this, we start off by looking at Project Online itself. Wrong browser. So I'm going to go over to Project Online. And from there, we're going to look at an area that's quite familiar to a lot of you. We're going to look at the settings area, the configuration behind this. So this you'll see is, as I said, a very simple little Project Online environment. We go to PWA settings, and I'll show you. So this is a matter of ticking some tick boxes. And over here, you've got the thing that Sensei has added in. So the group and team settings. I'm going to show you in a minute where you can get this. So all I've got to do in the screen is turn this thing on. So you can see this has been turned on. So we've actually turned on the integration between project and the group. And here is a list of our project detail pages. So those of you using Project Online at the moment will recognize those names. By default, you have project details, schedule, etc. And we've got the project details one turned on. We're going to come back in here shortly and tick on the schedule one. But that's as simple as all you need to do. You tick this thing on, and it will now surface that project detail page as a tab inside your team. So having said that, how did it get there? You know, how did this functionality turn up? Well, this is a little bit of the magic, and this is where the good piece is, where we are going to give you the magic. So the first thing is, for those of you who don't know this is here, there's a great resource that you can actually use, which is docs.sensei.cloud. Feel free to browse there now and see what's in there. There's cool stuff. I work for this company and I go in here to find information. So first of all, we can look at information about Sensei's solutions from within here. We can also look at things relating to security. So if you're moving to the cloud, you're putting new applications in, very often there are questions about, well, how did you test to ensure this is secure? What processes do you have in place? How does it physically work? All the questions the IT guys ask, we have all this information in here, and we also have policies around how Sensei works to make sure that we are maintaining your solution effectively. So if I go into solutions, here are some interesting stuff. So you can see the solutions roadmap that our product team creates. So they're building all these things. There's all these things they've done, all these things that are coming up, worth keeping an eye on. And down here, you can see all the different tools. Now, one of them is Project Groups Integration. It's not the fanciest name, but what it means is that piece of technology that you need to surface your pieces of Project Online inside those tabs, inside Teams. It happens to use the group, and that's why it's called that. And there is the picture that you saw earlier on. Now, all you have to do, and this is what we're going to do together, is scroll down and do the stuff piece by piece. Trust me, it's not that hard. Now, not everyone on the call will have physical access to do this, just because IT may prevent you doing that, but you can get them to look at this and they can do it for you. And this is the piece we're giving you over here. Let's download. This little app is what you're actually looking for. If you download that thing, so step one is you download it, you save it somewhere safe, and then what we're going to do is we're going to load it in and configure it. And it's really just a case of load the thing in, and it pretty much sorts itself out from there. So you are welcome to go off to docs.sensei.cloud, go to solutions, go to project groups integration, and download that and start using it. Now, if you are an Empower PPM customer, you actually have this already. If you feel you are not using it to the full power it could be used, hey, more than happy to help you. Just reach out and we can help you with this. Okay, so let's now look at, if we download this app, we just click on it and it will start to download. So I'm not going to do that again because I've already got it. What we then need to do is actually get this app into our system. So we start off by going off to SharePoint, because you're starting with an app and you need to load it into the store. The store is just a very fancy or kind of hokey kind of name for the place all the apps go, and that is where you get them. So if you are buying one or you are loading one in, it needs to go in over there. So we have gone into the SharePoint Admin Center. So for those of you who last time wanted to know the technical side of how this is actually done, well, your wish has been granted. You're getting to see that. So we're in SharePoint Admin. We go to our App Store, which sits under More Features, and we're going to open this up. Now, what will open is a list of links to those areas that relate to the apps, and we want the app catalog. The app catalog is basically the store. It's where you put all the apps. So we're going to click on this thing, and if you don't have one already, it'll create one for you. If you do have one, it will end up just going to where we are now, and there are different types of apps. We want one for SharePoint. This is, if you think, remember, Project Online is technically a SharePoint app, so we're actually after that. And there it is. There is the app that I loaded in previously. And all you've got to do is hit new or upload, go and find the file. I stored it on my desktop, and you just load this thing in. It's now sitting in the app store itself, but the store is going to detect, or in the catalog, it's going to detect that it's in there, and a box is going to pop up asking you to please trust this thing. You need to trust it because what you're doing is giving it permissions. And what you are letting it do is have the same rights as a user. It's not some fancy technical permissions you're giving it. It's not some godlike powers. All it is if Mark is logged on and Mark has the ability to do something, the app will do that on his behalf. If Mark does not have the ability to do something, well, tough luck, he's not going to be able to hack the system with this app because he just will not actually get that access. Okay.
Ryan?
Yes.
I've got a question on the chat side. Mark is asking, is there a cost to project group integration for non-Empower PPM customers?
Okay, so given that this is a very good question, I'm going to get Mark to help me, so our Mark, to help me answer this. Sensei does give this to you for free. Where the cost comes in is that you may want to get some help actually using this and configuring it and taking real advantage of it. And of course, then we can help you with that. But in terms of the little piece of code itself, no, there isn't. And if you can virtually, so our Mark, Sensei's Mark, you can virtually kick me under the table if I've said that wrong, but that's what I've been telling people anyway. Okay, so now we've got this app.
Yeah, all good, buddy.
Yep, cool. Okay. So the next thing we're doing here, okay, we need to know we've got this app. We've said yes, we trust this app, so we're good with it. So we know our user isn't going to hack the system using this app. What we need to do now is give this app some permissions. So it's quite a simple process we go through. We get the app. We stick it into the app catalog, which is just the place where the rest of the system goes and fetches apps from. So it's the container you stick all these things. You then tell the app that you are safe to, you give permissions. So you say that you are actually safe to use, okay? So what we're saying is we want to give this app access to get in and get some of our data. So what's loading up here, it takes a second, is the set of permissions we've got in here already. There we are. So it started in pending. You click on this and you would say, instead of remove, you say grant access. And now there are two of them and you give it access. So what you were doing is you're saying, okay, app, I've trusted you, so I'm kind of okay with you being in my environment. What I'm doing now is I'm telling you that you have permission to go and get data. We want the app to go and get our project data. So once that's done, we've now got an app in there and it has permissions to do things. So we need to start actually using it. So we've kind of done the apps in there, it's good to go. We must come over to the other side where we are in Project Online, because ultimately this is about Project Online for us. And what we want to do is say, okay, get Project Online ready and then use it. Now, for those of you who are frantically taking notes, I hope no one is taking notes, because everything I'm doing here has been beautifully documented over here. So step by step, there's giving the permissions, approving it. We're coming to this point now, we've got to look at the site features. So all this information is actually in there. So as I said, this is Sensei's gift to you, go for it. Let's change the world and not have people needing to go outside of Teams to do this. But hey, please call us and we will help you if you need any help with it. Okay, so we've got it. Let's prepare our environment. I'm going to go to Project Online. And I'm going to go to Site Settings. There's one little thing that you've got to just check here. There is a site feature, so manage site features. So these sites, so remember I spoke about the group. The group has the modern SharePoint site associated with it. This thing has features, and there is one called Site Pages. And what this is going to do is, there it is, make sure the little green button is there and it says active. This is going to make sure that we can actually put, this app can have data written in over here, and where it puts it is in a place called Site Contents. So we need to see, into Site Assets. We need to see that actually exists. It doesn't exist. It didn't exist in my tenant out of the box. So you just need to check that's actually there, okay? Now, once you have that, you need to now go and get that app that we put into the app catalog and we've given permissions and trusted, and we need to grab it and say, move it across into Project Online, because I actually want to use this thing now. So for those of you who have created, loaded apps in before, it's essentially as simple as that, okay? So all you are doing is adding in a new app. And now it's going to be loaded in, it's in your organization's catalog. There it is. So this one's already been added. It says I can't add it here again because it's there. And all you do is click on this thing and it will then load it in for you, okay? So this thing will now be sitting in over there, and you are able to configure it and start to use it. So far we've done, this is all, if you followed this so far, the hardest part is now done. The rest is the fun bit where you get to choose what you actually want to use this app for. So we go off with, let's say we've been the IT person. IT person can go off and have lunch now. You as the Project Online admin can come into PWA settings as you normally would go in. You click on groups and team settings, and you come back to this page we saw up front. And what you do is you turn this on. So you move that on to on, Okay, so all it does is it activates all this. There are a few extra things in here that are of interest. You can actually use this to help you build templates. And down here, so you can use this to build templates. Now, when you're building your sites, there is a thing called the Microsoft Patterns and Practices library and tool. That is a way Microsoft gives you to build site templates. Now, you may use these. What we've done is we've created this that it will actually read from that tool and load your templates in. So you may have. So why would you do this? Well, you could have template document libraries. So think, I don't want all my documents everywhere, everyone using a different version. I want them all using a common set of templates. You'd use the Patterns and Practices tool to define, so that's a standard Microsoft tool, to define what these document libraries look like. And then when the Sensei tool actually creates the group, and it's the group that gives you the team, and that we can then see the tab inside the team, well, it can go off and load in the document library associated with the SharePoint there. It can load the document library in as well, and it can get the templates. But this is the piece we care about now. We come down here, we say we want to integrate to Teams. That's the bit we're after here. So this thing does a lot more than just Teams integration, but we're going to just focus on Teams for today. So I'm going to tick on the schedule PDP, so that I want that one. And save. So if you have your own PDPs, you'll see them on the list there. So I'm now going to save that, and that is saved. So now that I've actually saved it, we need to actually see this in action. Let's see what this is all about. So we go back to the front of Project Online, okay, which is obviously over there. And here it is, all clean and out of the box. I'm showing you this all like a nice clean one to show you that there's no smoke and mirrors here. Everything I'm doing is real and it's actually happening for you. Didn't want to blind you with it, with a demo environment. So we're going to create a nice, complete out-of-the-box demo. There's one I created yesterday, or the day before, just in case. Okay, so if I call it Webinar Demo 2, which is really imaginative, and I say finish, what it's going to do is create the project. Now, those of you using this currently, as in using Project Online or specifically Project Online currently, will know that it's going to go off and create a project site at some point. But for us now, we've gone and loaded in this tool, this project groups integration, and it now gets between Project Online and that project site, and it's replacing it with a group. That's the whole point. It brings a group in. So if I go back to the picture, it's brought a group in. Was that a question?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, Ryan, I think it's worth saying that the group will only ever be created once you actually select for the first time the project site link.
And we're about to, Mark, you're jumping ahead.
Sorry,
yeah, wait for it. Don't give the surprise away. Okay, so the group is, as Mark said, the group is going to get created. And when it gets created, it will go and with it create the site, it will create the team, and these are all the things we're looking for. So let's actually look at that exactly. So we're inside our project now. Now there's our schedule, which is blank. Remember, I loaded in the schedule PDP, so that's the one I want. Here is our little project details PDP. If I just go to this, let's put something in here just so that you can see that I'm not making all this stuff up. And with my complete lack of imagination, I'm going to call that task 1. And it is a 5-day task. And let's start doing that on Monday. Okay. So now there's that project site. It still says project site, but it's not the old-fashioned project site. And the old sites actually are from 2002. That's a long time ago, okay? We have people working for us who were in nappies back then. So it's time to move on to something more modern. And this is what you're going to get now. So by clicking on project site, as Mark said, now you only see this for the very first time, okay? It's creating, it's telling us to, it's checking, have you got a group? No. Let me get your info, let me create your group for you. Let me now create what it's doing right now is the actual SharePoint site as a modern site behind that. It configures it. Now here's the really cool bit, it's creating the team, and then it's going to send us over to that site. So what is this doing for us? One is, it is giving us that team that's now integrated in, which is cool. We want that. That's kind of what this is about. The second thing is it's giving us a much nicer project site because it's a modern site. And the third thing is, if anyone is struggling with the 2000 project site limit, well, these aren't project sites, they're modern sites, they're groups. So you don't have that same limit apply. You can immediately see.
It's important to say that when you select the link on the project site, only then will the group be created. And that is super important because there are lots of BAU projects or smaller projects where you may not even need to have that group site, right? So that is actually the reason why we consciously made the effort only to create the group once the project site link is actually created. That I think is a very important facet to that.
That is a very important thing. Thanks, Mark, for that. And building what Mark has said, if there are any IT people on here, we quite often have the IT department looking at this and thinking, oh, but you're going to create hundreds and thousands of groups everywhere, and we're trying to get these things under control, and everyone's creating groups all over the place. We're like, no, we've actually designed this out that only the projects that you need to have the functionality, as Mark said, will get it. You may have, remember these tools in Power PPM and IQ definitely are not just intended for the heavy project managers to use. You can use them for BAU work, for small projects, for light projects, all these different things, and not all may want a site, or some may want a site with some features, not others. Okay, so we've got the site over here. If you've used Empower PPM, you will have remembered that you get this, plus there's Planner linked into it as well. But on the left, there's the team. So let's go off to look at the team and see if if what I said would work. If it didn't, I've got yesterday's example we can go to. Okay, I'm going to tell it to use the web app so it doesn't try and load up the meeting that we're in actually at the moment. Now we wait with excitement. Drum roll. Look there. There's our schedule. So we are in Teams. Our project has now, the project now has a group associated with it. That group has a team. And so our project has a team. If I was in our normal, I'm just going to jump to our production system. I don't know if you'll see this, but the teams, this is our internal things. I've got clients, teams in here. This is all my stuff. Now, this is essentially how I completely live my life. So you would get all that as well, including your project and the channels. If you remember from the last session, you could now create more channels. You could create that channel you share with external vendors. Maybe you've got a channel that you share with Sensei, and that's how we collaborate. But you could come into your own channel and you can see, well, I've got all the usual information I need for collaboration, but I've also got my project online being surfaced. So there's my PDP, here's my schedule, and I can load anything else in as well. So if you're using Empower PPM, you will have the project apps coming in. So you've got your risks, your issues, your finances, all these things coming through in here as well. And if you are putting files in over here, files you put in here, if you're in IQ anyway, the files you put in there are the same files that you see in the project app. So that shows you the mechanism of how to actually do it. So to close this off, the reason that we are doing this is if you are in Empower PPM or in Project Online, you get this type of thing. So I can be in Teams, I can actually, while in here, I can be talking to someone, I can be collaborating in Teams, I can also come across here and do my work. So all of my apps are loaded in here, and it's very easy for me to use. and you can see it is Project Online. Little click. There is my PDP. Those are the ones we'd added. But of course, we've got our risks, our issues, our workflow, our financials, all these other things loaded in here as well. So for me as a project manager, I go to one place. I don't have to go and keep switch. It's like you change gears all the time, and it's hard to do that. And then if you are using RQ, you can do exactly the same thing. So what we've got here is our teams, and we've got, so all the different teams that I'm on, these all different projects, we've got the app loaded in. But the difference here is this is a native app. It's not loaded in as essentially a frame inside Teams, which is still cool. Okay, there's no problem with that, of course. But this thing you can see is actually loaded. It's like the Windows loaded in inside. We've taken it to the next level with RQ in that it's now a native app that is inside there. So it becomes simpler to use and the integration is tighter. You don't have to then sort of treat it as something that's bolted in, but it's just this completely seamless experience. So I'm inside Teams, and if I go into, we've got a learning management system in here. I could go in over there, and here I can find out all about the different training I need around RQ. I could go into RQ itself. I can do my work from within over here. Or I could end up going off to, Project for the Web, RQ itself, to Teams, to SharePoint, etc. Now it's been smart enough to take me to RQ, there's our tenant renewal project, to that particular project as well. So everything is kind of focused around me as the user. I want my life to be easier, and I want to be able to have a system that I can actually engage with and use and not get lost in, go to one app and then have to remember, oh yeah, but I've got to do something else in this app. I just want it all to be in one simple place. So, why can't I actually do that? Well, now you can. Okay, that brings us to the end of the formal proceedings. Does anyone have any other questions?
Nothing has come through the chat channel, Brian.
I'm hoping I didn't bore you all. I know it was a bit more detail, but hey, people specifically asked for that detail, so I hope they got it. But for those of you who are less about the detail, the point is we can give you Teams as your one central place to go. From within Teams, you can load your project information. You can have so that's advantage one. Advantage two is that you can have a more modern and seamless experience as you work with this. This will lead to users actually wanting to use the tool more frequently, or a lot more, because they don't have to just struggle with the thing. So your user uptake, that user adoption, is going to increase, which means you just get better information. So when you start looking at insights and reports like this type of thing, you now start having much more complete data, and you can start actually trusting this data. And you can see it's secure. It wants me to sign in. It must have just timed out. And the third thing is that if you are a Project Online user and you are using project sites and you are worried about coming to the end of your 2,000 sites, depending on how you're doing things, this is one of the ways. There are many ways we can get around that problem, and this is just one of those ways that you can actually get around those. So I would encourage you to have a look at it. But we are more than happy to help you through this. So this week, we have taken 40 minutes to get through this today. If we go through this with your IT guys, I promise I can get them through this in 15 minutes. We can explain it. We can get them to set this up for you, and happy to help you out by getting some of this going. So let's change the lives of some users. Let's actually make it more of a pleasure to use these systems. Okay, that is it from me. I'm hoping you have some more questions. I see someone had their hand up.
Yep, that's correct. So we got a couple coming in now.
Okay.
Someone's raised their hand here.
Hi, Candice. I have my hand
Candice.
raised. I couldn't find my chat function. I just wanted to know where I'd be able to find this video that's been recorded so that I can then share it with the IT team at my company so that they can see what I'm after.
Cecilia is going to send a link out, I believe, Cecilia. But the
Yep.
other thing I would recommend you do is point them straight at dr.sensei.cloud, and this should make sense to them. And if you need, look, happy to catch up, or I can just do another session like this just for you, no problem.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan, there's been a question that's come through the chat channel from Sue. She says, in our workshop, we create a channel per machine that comes into our workshop. Foremen and leading hands are struggling with a lot of channels that they do not require. Is there a way to delete a channel but retain all posts?
So that the content stays there, but the people don't see that content anymore. Now, okay, you know, a good question. We're going to make a note of that, and we'll get back to you on that one. I don't want to guess on that.
Sorry, what was the question there again?
So delete the channel, but keep all the content. So not everyone is seeing the channels. The easiest way is just to remove the people from that channel. So if you've got, let's say you've got 100 people and there are 10 channels.
That's not quite that straightforward, Ryan, because a channel inherits the user security from the group. Yeah. Unless that channel is a private channel. So I guess you wouldn't want to really delete any kind of channel because ultimately you would also delete that content. That's the reason why there is no delete capability within Teams directly. This is an administration capability that can be undergone. But really, ultimately, a team channel inherits the security, or natively inherits the security of all of the users that form part of that group, unless you have a private channel where you can then determine what kind of access that particular channel has. So if you then have a group with 100 people and you have a channel that is a private channel and you only invite 5 people, only the 5 people would ever see that channel.
Either that, or you'd have to then remove people from the group.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that wouldn't work in our workshop. I might take this offline and contact you.
Yeah, sure. Let's have a look.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any last questions that anyone would like to ask, or anything else that'd like Ryan to show you? Give it a minute for people to get the chance to do that.
Yeah, well, thanks, Ryan. It's definitely useful to know how to, what steps to take to set it up in an environment. Look, the only other comment that we may want to talk about briefly is that be aware that when you implement the group capability within Project Online, the project sites, the traditional project sites, will no longer be created. So you will have to think about if you would utilize those project sites, let's say risks and issues, etc. Then you would have to think about how do I want to manage those in a group environment, and you would want to set that up in the, potentially in the SharePoint group site, or actually as a Power App.
Yeah, and that's if you're using Empower PPM, you'll be experiencing this now. For those of you who aren't, those apps that I was showing over there, that gives us a way around that and gives you a lot more functionality as well, which again just drives that user adoption, just makes life a bit more modern, a bit more easy.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, really, the aim is that my team works in teams and nowhere else, and that's the reason why this is so beautifully integrated.
Yeah. So thank you all very much. Feel free to just reach out. Happy to just do a little demo for you, or just discuss how this could help you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ryan. Great.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. Thanks all.
Thanks, Ryan.
Have a good weekend.
Last minute, we've recorded this webinar, so we'll send it out to everyone after this session. If you have any questions, please feel free to send us a note, let's chat, or even just respond to me when I send the recording out. We'll also send out the feedback survey form, so we really appreciate any feedback that we can get, and also any future topics that you'd like for us to talk about. So thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.